In this screencast, we're going to get a quick introduction to the hypertext markup language, or HTML, and understand how different HTML elements correspond to things visible on a page served by a SaaS application. I'm in the Firefox browser with the main movie listing from Rotten Potatoes up on the screen. The previous screencast showed you how to get this far in your virtual machine. And before we take a look at anything, I'm going to make sure that the Web Developer Toolbar is enabled in Firefox. This is a free add-on that is absolutely essential for doing any kind of development work or looking under the hood. Now that that's visible, we can view the source of the page, in other words, the raw bytes that come back from the web server when this page is requested, and we can start taking a look at what a markup language looks like. Recall that a markup language is one in which the text, such as Rotten Potatoes or release date, is easily distinguishable from annotations or markup that tell us something about the structure of the page and how that text fits into that structure. For example, in HTML, the tags are the markup. Tags are enclosed in angle brackets like the word title here. Every tag has both an opening part and a closing part, which begins with bracket slash, and some tags also have content, for example, Rotten Potatoes in this case. In fact, in HTML, the title tag tells the web browser what to display as the Windows title, and sure enough, Rotten Potatoes is displayed as the Windows title in here. Some tags have only an opening part and are self-closing. So notice that unlike title, which has a wholly separate end tag, the link tag has a number of attributes, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then a self-closing tag. So you won't see a separate closing tag for link. The HTML rules describe which tags are self-closing. Everything inside the opening and the closing part of a tag, in this case the phrase Rotten Potatoes, is considered an HTML element. So here is the title element, which consists of an opening tag, some content, and a closing tag. But elements can also nest. For example, if we scroll down a little bit, here's an HTML table, and in fact this is the table of the different movies. And the table element is actually quite long. In fact, we have to scroll down this far before we can find the closing table tag. Inside that table, there are other elements that are nested. For example, there's a table head and a table body. The table body, in turn, nests various table rows, and those table rows nest table columns. For a complete list of all the different HTML tags, you can look at one of the resources mentioned in the book. The message here is that tags can be nested, and although the indentation isn't actually part of the HTML syntax, good frameworks like Rails will automatically cause their output to be properly indented just to make it easier for you, the developer, to read what's going on in that page. Another important thing to notice about tags is that some of them have attributes, which are key value pairs of the form attribute name, =, and attribute value. Again, not all elements have attributes, and a complete description of HTML describes when attributes are required and when they're optional. But just to give a couple of examples, here's an example of an anchor element, or an A element. A elements are hyperlinks that you can click on to follow links to other pages. In the case of an A element, the ahref attribute tells where the link is going to go, in this case to the URI /movies/4. And the content of the element, in this case more about Inception, is what the user actually sees. So referring this back to our visual page, more about Inception is an A element whose content is the phrase more about Inception, and whose attribute is a link target where the link is going to go. We'll learn a lot more about HTML tag attributes in the coming sections when we talk about cascading style sheets. But this quick introduction should give you a sense of how the elements that you can see in the raw source coming back from the server correspond to what's displayed on the page when you look at software as a service.